Hey everybody! So as promised, I'm going to start my Life with Two series. It's a really broad spectrum, I think, so I'm just going to do it little by little and put the topics up one at a time, and then you can listen to whatever you're interested in if you don't want to listen to all of it. So I'm going to start at the very beginning. It's a big decision when you're going to have a second, and when you're going to have it is huge. Before I had kids, I always thought that I would have them 3-4 years spread apart. But after I had Zayden, I decided that, or I guess we decided, that having them close together was something that we really wanted. Like, not that 3 and 4 years apart is huge, but when you're looking at later, you know, when one's, say, 10 and the other's 14, you're at quite different stages versus a 12-year-old and a 14-year-old, or a 16 and an 18-year-old. So we decided that we would want them about 2 years apart, just with hopes that they'd be closer and better friends. And had his first birthday, and after that started to feel ready to have another. So a couple months after, we started to try, and we conceived right away. That was really exciting. When I took the pregnancy test, I was just over the moon, and right away, you know, started to bond with the baby. And I remember once having a nap on the couch, and I had Zayden cuddle napping me and having my baby, and the thought went through my mind that, wow, I'm with my 2 kids. How special is this? And it was neat because Mike came home and he saw us napping, and when we woke up he was like, oh, look at that, you're having a nap with your kids. And it was a really nice feeling. I started thinking, you know, about all the maternity clothes I was going to buy, and ended up that due date of the baby was Zayden's birthday, and that was really nice. And we told people right away too. We told so many people. We were so excited. But then after a week to week and a half of knowing I was pregnant, I started to bleed. And at first Mike was like, don't worry about it, you know, like, you have read that can be normal, and so let's not worry until the morning, and you go to the doctor. And I wanted to believe that it was normal bleeding, like implantation bleeding and whatnot, but deep down I knew that something was wrong. And by the morning, the cramping began and the bleeding got heavier, so I knew it was a miscarriage. Ironically enough, that day, like the week before, I had booked a doctor's appointment, kind of like just to tell her I was pregnant and stuff, and it was that day that I was going to meet with her. So I called and I tried to get the appointment bumped up so I could see her in the morning, because I was going crazy. And luckily I was able to get in and talk to her and stuff, and she said that there are people that do bleed and it's fine, but the amount of bleeding that I was doing, that she was pretty certain it was a miscarriage too. So because I was only 5-6 weeks pregnant, I didn't need a D&C. The body just aborted the baby and shed. And sorry for any grossness, especially if there's any men watching, but oh my goodness, it's a lot of blood. It's a lot of bleeding. It's really gross and heavy. I wasn't expecting that, but it was pretty bad. And a week later, what they do is you go in for an ultrasound just to make sure that everything is gone, and yeah, your uterus looks good and healthy. So, you know, and it was weird because I still had this little bit of hope that maybe at the ultrasound they would find a heartbeat. And it's funny how your mind plays tricks on you like that, how, you know, denial and hope can work together sometimes. So yeah, it was good to get the ultrasound, because when I did go, I saw that nothing was there, and it was really hard. Oh my goodness, the whole process was incredibly agonizing. I don't think you really know what it's like until you go through it. I always thought that if I had a miscarriage early on, that I'd be okay with it, because I'd know that there was something wrong with the baby, that the baby wouldn't have been viable, and I'd much rather go through it earlier on, which is the truth. Like, if you're gonna lose a child, I'd much rather lose the child then. But oh, it was so hard. I think just the knowledge that you lost your baby, and as you're bleeding, the knowledge that that's your baby. I mourned. I was off work for about a week, and I was in a bit of a state of depression for a few weeks. it was really tough. A lot harder than I thought it would be, losing a baby that early. The one thing I found that helped me though was I ended up writing a letter to the baby, just letting it know how much I loved it and that they would always be my second child. And you know, that helped me a lot to move on. So anyways, the doctor said wait a couple months and a few cycles and then try again. Well, I didn't. I kind of got like really like tunnel vision on having another baby. So we started right away. It ended up taking a couple months to conceive, so which was good because my body probably wasn't ready for it. In hindsight, I should have waited, but anyways, I went through I think 2 cycles after the miscarriage, and we conceived again. And I tell you, I was so scared because I thought for sure I was getting my period. I had so much cramping, and my period was a couple days late, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to take a test just to see, because if I am having another miscarriage, I need to know. And so my husband was at work and Zayden was sleeping, and I took the test and it came out positive. And I've never had such mixed feelings before in my life. One part of me was overjoyed that I was going to have a baby, and the other part was dead scared because I was having so much cramping that I was positive I was going to miscarry again. And I literally knelt at the toilet seat, started to cry, and prayed to God that he would not take this baby from me too, and that it would be healthy. Like, that was my first initial reaction. That's exactly what I did. Within a few hours I went and picked up my husband and I showed him the test, and he's like, really? Because, you know, he couldn't believe it that I was pregnant again. I'm like, yeah. And he's like, well, that's great. And I'm like, well, no, I think I'm going to miscarry. I'm having so much cramps. And he really helped me through the next couple weeks after that, because I was just so worried and I was so scared, and he was a real rock for me, which was I needed. So I went to the doctors again and I told her everything that I was cramping, and she booked me for an ultrasound, like a 7-week ultrasound. And once again, the ultrasound was wonderful but this time for the opposite reason. The first time was for reality to hit that I wasn't pregnant, and this time was to show that a healthy, normal looking little fetus was in there with a strong heartbeat. And I just breathed a sigh of relief. It was an amazing moment, that's for sure.